Well, good day, everybody. We're on the aisle. I'm Rona Mann, and today you are on the aisle with the Trinity Repertory Company in Providence, Rhode Island, and they are doing The Winter's Tale. Actually, they're doing it in repertory with The Roommate. I was here a little while ago. If you missed that review, that you can find that on YouTube. But today we're talking about The Winter's Tale, William Shakespeare. We're a little late getting to it because we had a little snow here on the East Coast, but we're happy to do it. I saw this show, well, it's not that late. I saw it about 4 or 5 days ago. We like to be right on top of things. Do you remember when you were in school, middle school, high school, wherever you were in school, and it was time to get into Shakespeare? They normally had the big, well-known stuff. You probably read, studied, or heard about Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, what we in the theater call that Scottish play. We don't give the name because there is a superstition behind that. If you don't know what that's about, look it up. Maybe even King Lear. All of those should be familiar to you, whether you liked them, whether you hated them, whether you read them, whether you were in it, whether you saw it. But you don't hear about so many of the others. And Willie Shakespeare was a very prolific guy. But they're not usually chosen for performance unless the school is really into it. Well, I knew that he had written The Winter's Tale, but honestly, I knew very little, actually nothing about it. I think I read it at some point in high school because I knew the names of the characters, but I never saw it produced. I don't even know if there was a movie of it. So many of the Shakespeare plays were made into movies. But in this particular case, if you go to Trinity Rep, be prepared because the director, Ben Steinfeld, has directed it so that it really appeals to the audience. It will educate you as well as entertain you. Be prepared to be frightened, to laugh, and to be utterly enchanted. It is on, and I'm going to say it again at the end, but I want you to know it's on through the 22nd of March. And from what I saw online, having missed a few performances because of weather, they're filling up. They're in the great downstairs theater, no bad seats, none whatsoever. And it's a great show, and they work the theater beautifully. Ben has done a super job. The program will tell you, because there's a very good interview in there between Ben and Rebecca Gibble, one of the main characters. They both went to school together. He's also an actor, so they've worked together for a long time. And the program tells you it's a story of jealousy, grief, forgiveness, and redemption. And when I read that, I said, so's Christmas Carol. And this ain't nothing like Christmas Carol. When I was watching it, I thought of only one word, and that was assumption. When you assume, and what assuming can do, that's very bad. We all do it. We all assume. We assume about people. We assume about situations. We judge. It causes big problems. It gets us in trouble. That's really the basis of The Winter's Tale. Because one man assumed that you have jealousy, grief, forgiveness, and then ultimately redemption because he has good people around him. Like many or most of the Shakespearean plays, the plot becomes kind of convoluted as it goes. It goes in a lot of different directions, but then it comes back in Act 5 and it ties it all together. I was thinking when it got to Act 5, after a lot of screaming, yelling, threats of murder, people dying, horrible things happening, but then lovers rejoicing, this is almost like a Hallmark movie. There is a happy ending to it. Or, as they say in the Shakespeare play, As You Like It, then there is mirth in heaven when earthly things made even atone together. It could have been part of the Winter's Tale as well, because they're singing, dancing, happiness. You leave Trinity Rep, you're on your way to get your car or go have a drink or go have dinner or go have coffee, and you feel good because this is a feel-good Shakespearean play. So there is the tiniest plot outlet I'm going to give you. Less than Cliff's notes, call it man's notes. But we'll go on to the actors first. Ben Steinfeld has amassed some of Trinity's best. He has some of the actors who are members of the company and have been for several decades. And then he's filled in the rest of the cast with some of the best from the Brown Trinity Rep. These are students getting master's degrees in theater, and Trinity uses the best of the best all the time, and they're wonderful. Among them, and one of the longtime Trinity Rep people, and one of my absolute favorites, is Stephen Thorne. I have seen him do everything from singing and dancing and playing the crazy dentist in the play that I can never remember the name of, to doing Shakespeare. I saw him do Iago before and Othello. He is an excellent actor. This past December, he was Scrooge in Christmas Carol. He does movies. He does everything. He's very good. He is the lead, and he's the one who causes all the trouble. He is the king of Sicilia. He believes that his pregnant wife is having an affair with his best friend. Oh, does that sound familiar, right? His best friend has come to visit, and they've been friends since they were young men, young boys together. And his best friend and his wife are getting along very well. So the king decides, aha, there's more to it than that. She's pregnant. It's probably his child. And it festers in his head. And it gets worse and worse. And he already has a son who's about, I don't know, I guess he's maybe 8 or 9 years old. And a wonderful little boy. We'll get back to him later. And he has a wonderful relationship with that little boy. And now he's looking at that little boy thinking, maybe this kid isn't mine either. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And he wants to plot to have him killed. But you'll see that yourself. The pregnant wife is being played by Rachel Warren. She is a member of the company. She plays the queen with a range of emotion. She also plays 2 other characters later in the play. Most everybody in this show plays at least 2 characters, some even 3, and they're all terrific. And with the help of wonderful props and costumes and makeup and sheer great acting, they carry it off. The best friend of the queen is a woman named Paulina, and that's the part that Rebecca Gibble plays. Rebecca Gibble's been away from Trinity way too long. I saw her last year in a show. She is just amazing. She invests herself in every single part. I have seen her do everything from sweet musicals to heavy duty. This is maybe the heavy dutiest of them all. She goes from a passionate, screaming woman in the first half of the play. She is shaking Stephen Thorne as the king. She is just about beating him up, screaming in his face. And then when we come back from intermission, she's a clown. She's a jester. She's a shyster who steals money from people. She's a tumbler. You hardly know it's the same actor. And then by the end of the play, she's back to being Paulina. She is a terrific actress. You really see a master class when you see all these people, especially her. Here's somebody that I had not seen before. Her name is Jessie March. She is a teaching artist out of Providence, and she also does double duty. And when I said initially the little boy, the king's son, I didn't realize, I was looking through the program trying to find the biography of the little boy because he did such a great job. Well, he was she. She did a wonderful job. She's an adult, but you'd never know it. You see him in the sailor suit playing with a ball, playing back and forth with the king. And then later on, 16 years later, when you're back from intermission, she is the sweet shepherdess. In the play that Trinity does, they call her Perdita. I played this part in acting classes, and she was known as Perdita. So I'm not sure, but being as much of this is Italian, I would kind of think we were right, but that's okay. She played the shepherdess, daughter of the king, a love story angle, and she's terrific. She really is. I had no idea in this case. Mauro Hantman, been with Trinity. I think he built the place. He's been around so long. He's done everything. He's been Scrooge a few times, and he's done comedies, and he's done heavy duty dramas, and he's done terrific Shakespeare. He gives his usual top-notch performance as a courtier and as a friend to the king. The only thing about the entire show that bothered me, the only thing, is that in the second half, when we came back immediately after the intermission, Stephen Thorne, who has been this screaming, angered, out of control king, after the intermission, he's now playing a shepherd. And he's got this crazy country accent. He sounded like he was right out of Hee-Haw. And I was thinking, no, the director, Ben, should not have done that. He should have used someone else. Did Thorne do a good job? Of course he did. He's Stephen Thorne. He did a fabulous job, but it was much too much of 15 minutes of intermission was not enough of a transition, because then after he played the shepherd for a half hour, he was back to being the king again. I just didn't think he should have been the choice for that character. It was interesting because when you see this first part of the show with so much heavy drama, especially from the women, the two lead women, at the break, I was sitting surrounded by some women who were members of a theater club. And in front of me, there was one man who was part of the theater club as well. And I believe he must have been either a student of Shakespeare or a teacher, a professor, because they were asking him questions and he was giving them information. And I was soaking all this up. He was a great plot outline guy. And the woman sitting next to me asked him, don't you think the women are too strong? They're doing so much yelling and screaming. And he said, that's how most of the women are in Shakespeare. Think of Lady Macbeth, how strong she was. Think of Hamlet's mother. And then he gave a few other examples. And then he said, you know, most of Shakespeare's men were real schlemiels. He said they were really very weak guys. The women were the strong ones. I got thinking about it. He was right in a lot of cases. Steinfeld has a lot of laughs being played and a lot of jumping around with the characters, and the actors do it so well. There's a whole dance number that they do. They sing. Rachel plays the piano. It's a happy show. And as I said, there's comic relief. People get it. Even if you don't think when they first begin, I'm not with the Shakespearean talk. Hang with it. You'll get it. Ben's directed it so that you will get it. And it is done so well. It has, as I said, a happy ending. It is a thoroughly professional production. On through March 22nd, there are matinees, evening performances. I looked before I came today to see if they had added any shows because of the snow cancellations. Not yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. You can call the box office or go online. The Winter's Tale. You may not have heard of it before, but you will hear of it again. I'm Rona Mann. You're on the aisle with me, and in 2 weeks, we'll be back at the GAM for Hendrik Gibson's Ghosts. See you then. Good watching.